Hey, welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm your host, Greg Fitzsimmons, and if you see me on the YouTube, I look a little bit like a jackass because I'm headed to a golf tournament. Yep. It's for the Irish American Museum of Los Angeles, and it's a bunch of Guidos, mostly New York guys, tough guy wannabes, goombats. Good food. I did the tournament the last few years, and they've always got fucking cannolis and cappuccinos on the first tee. And then they got sausage and peppers at the turn. And then when you come in, they got a nice buffet with ziti and veal piccata. It's nice. My friend Tom Manzella organizes it. And last year, I played, ready for this? I played with Joe Pesci. Fucking played with Joe Pesci, and I get up to the he got there late, so he came out on the second hole, and I was standing over a chip, and I'm about to chip it, and I see him out of the corner of my eye, and I scull it across the green, and he walks past me, and he goes, what the fuck kind of shot is that? And he just broke balls all day. It was fucking great. So I was thinking about it, and I asked my daughter last night, have you ever seen Goodfellas? And I was embarrassed to say at the age of 18, my daughter had not seen Goodfellas. So we put it on, and about halfway through, she turned to me and she goes, "This is the greatest movie ever made." It really is one of the, my top three. It's definitely, it's gory, it's sexy, it's fucking cool, it's funny. It's got a great story. It's just a perfect movie. It's just a perfect movie. And I was so proud of her that she appreciated it, because you don't know. If she didn't like it, I don't know that I could still love her fully. I'd still care for her, and I would definitely take care of her still, but I wouldn't respect her as a person. So she passed that test. We just got back from New York. We flew in. My wife's Aunt Jo from the Bronx died I guess, a week ago Saturday. So we came in for the funeral and the wake, and then to clean out the house. So we were there for like 3 or 4 days, and we just basically lived in her house, which was so surreal. It's very weird to be in a house of somebody who, first of all, you loved. I absolutely adored Aunt Jo. She was the highlight of every trip to New York. She's such an old school character. I've talked about her. I don't want to rehash, but she's 95, and she was born in this house. And so it's got 95 years worth of collecting, like dozens of sets of rosary beads and her notes from 3rd grade. So that was 95 years ago, her in 3rd grade. And she still had the notes. And her notes from nursing school, and photos from, black and white photos of the family, books from the 1800s. I got this one book, oh God, who wrote it? This beautiful book of Irish poetry from 1860. So I got that. And I found a poem called Erin, and I've been reading it to Erin to the point where she's annoyed and told me to leave her alone. It was great. Her basement it was filled. It was waist deep. I was a fucking monster. I organized, so there's 3 rooms in the basement, and I organized them. One was junk, one was for charity, and one was garbage, So anyway, I just, and it was moldy and dusty down there, but I just fucking soldiered through for 3 days. I just got that basement together. Found some old stuff down there. I had a bunch of old Mad magazines, so I brought those home. I came across a lot of old photos, and a lot of the old photos had old girlfriends in them. And here is the moral quandary. If you are happily married for 23 years, as I will be in next month, I mean, I'm happy now, but I'll also be happy next month. Do you keep the photos of the ex-girlfriends? And I'm curious, what do you think? Email me at fitzdog@gmail.com. I kept some because some of them were so hot. And I threw away the ones that were not hot. But was it wrong for me to keep them? I threw away letters. I had this one particular girlfriend that I dated for like 3 or 4 years in college and out of college. And we had a lot of love letters, and I threw those out. I threw them out once before, and I think Aunt Jo found them in the garbage, took them out, and put them back in my stuff again. So she clearly does not agree that you should throw out old love letters. So what do you think? What are your thoughts? I want a memory. It's like that Paul Simon song, Kodachrome. Was that Simon and Garfunkel, or was that Paul Simon? Kodachrome. If I look back to all the girls I knew when I was single, put them all together for one night, I wonder if it would match my sweet imagination. Everything looks better in black and white. Kodachrome. So I kept them. And if I feel like I've got a stash of porn hidden in the basement, I don't know. Is it wrong? There was also a lot of styrofoam coolers because she worked as a nurse her whole life for like 60 years. And she used to save coolers that they did organ transplants in, I think for storage. And so there was all these organ transplant coolers and jelly jars. And God, what else do we find down there? You know, there was the girls went through the clothing, and my daughter came home with some very cool vintage dresses from the 40s and 50s. Some shoes. She was great. If you listen to my show for years, you've heard her voice because I used to call her all the time on the show and just check in with her, see how she was doing. She was always too busy to talk. The woman retired at 65, so for 30 years she lived alone in a house. Her only activity was she had a garden in the back with a peach tree, tomatoes, some peppers, some peas, and she was and blueberries. And she was obsessed with the garden. And it was like every time I'd call her, she'd be like, I can't talk long. I got to get back to work in the garden. It was like, you have 12 hours a day to work on the garden. You don't have 10 minutes to talk to me. So, but she would always crack me up. We used to go out to lunch. We'd take her out for lunch for her birthday at Tavern on the Green in New York City. That was a big thing, her big highfalutin thing. We'd walk around the corner and get Italian ices at the pizza place. Had some good pizza in the Bronx. I fucking love the Bronx. It is, I mean, and her neighborhood is and I didn't grow up, but I was born one neighborhood over from her. I was only there until I was about 5. But it was all Italian and Irish, and now it's very Dominican, black, still a lot of Italian, still a lot of Irish, but it's very mixed. And it's a beautiful mix. It's like all of her neighbors were very close to her. She used to give them vegetables, and they used to shovel her driveway and drive her to the drugstore, and all different types of people, her neighbors, and they all loved her. But you know, you just walk down the street in the Bronx at 11 o'clock at night, and people are out on the stoop, and they're listening to radios, and teenagers are running around stealing each other's hats, and it's just life. There's life going on in the streets of the Bronx. And it still has her neighborhood still has a butcher. How often do you see a butcher and a baker? Like a guy, it's just an Italian bakery that's been there for 100 years. And there's a greengrocer, just a produce market. So you do your shopping every day, and the pizza's fucking unbelievable. Oh my God, we had some good pizza. What else? I had a headshot. I should hold it up. No, I don't have it with me. Or do I? Oh, I do have it with me. Hold on a second. Hold on. If you are watching the podcast, you can see this was my first headshot. And there it is right there. That's me with a full head of hair. Yeah. So that was hanging on her wall in the kitchen. I gave it to her 25 years ago when I first started dating her niece. And she left it up on the wall for 25 years. What else happened in the Bronx? I made some notes. It's noisy. There is the 6 train is about a block away. You can hear it rumbling by late at night. There's a lot of car horns. People fucking hit their horns. And that's it. So anyway, God bless you, Aunt Joe. I'll miss you deeply and dearly, and have so many fond memories I'll always have. Beautiful funeral. We had a wake. I hosted we had an Irish wake, which is where everybody tells funny stories. So I kind of hosted that. And yeah, so that's it. Still haven't watched the Norm Macdonald special. I tried to watch 10 minutes of it, but it made me too sad. So I will maybe get into that this week, watch the rest of it. A couple people emailed me that it wasn't good, and it was like, it's not supposed to be good, you fucking jughead. It's just here's the material. Here it is. Take it for what it is. There's no audience. He's in his living room. But you got to see through it. All right. If you are sad, like I am right now, sometimes that can be a normal, healthy thing to be sad. And then there's other times where you may have underlying mental health issues like depression, like anxiety. BetterHelp is here to help you. Maybe you're burnt out. Maybe you're working too much. You're not taking time for yourself. People have this, you get irritability, fatigue, lack of motivation. Any of that stuff happens. There's somebody you can talk to. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking to someone can help you figure out what's causing stress in your life. I know for me, I had I didn't have a nervous breakdown, but pretty close. I was staffed on the Wanda Sykes show. I was writing a book, and I was doing stand-up every weekend, and I lost control. I should not have taken the writing job on Wanda. I should have focused on the other stuff. And I ended up getting some therapy, and it pulled me out of it, and some pharmaceuticals. So BetterHelp is something that I started up with during the pandemic, and I'm still talking to my therapist. She's fantastic. It's just a way to check in. It's a way to prioritize yourself. So do it. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Fitzdog. That's betterhelp.com/Fitzdog. Also, if that doesn't work for you, how about a little cannabis, people? Smoking it does not have to hurt. In fact, there's a way to cough less and enjoy chili smoke with zero chest or throat burn. And the solution is a freeze pipe. Freeze Pipe makes a unique line of freezable pipes, bubblers, bongs, and more. The secret is freezable glycerin chambers on every piece. Pop one of these glycerin chambers in the freezer for 1 hour, and as smoke passes through the icy chamber, it's instantly chilled for a bigger, colder, and smoother hit. Glycerin is a non-toxic gel commonly found in food and sweeteners. It stays frozen longer than water and freezes quicker. Putting ice in your bong is one thing, but it's time to take the training wheels off, people, and enjoy massive clouds with zero throat or chest burn. Scientifically engineered to outperform your bong at home, Freeze Pipe offers a luxury smoking experience at everyday prices. They sent me 2 of these pieces. Let me tell you something. If you want to feel classy and yet still like a fun teenager, the Freeze Pipe, and it's gorgeous. It's like a piece you can put on your coffee table. It's a conversation piece. It's very well designed. Their founders were tired of overpaying for pipes and bongs at local head shops, only to have these pieces leave them with scorched throats and coughing fits. With state-of-the-art glycerin coils and water filtration, Freeze Pipe's pieces cool smoke by over 300 degrees. Cough less. Yeah, it's a nice experience. If you're tired of burning throats or coughing too much when you light up, visit thefreezepipe.com and use code Fitzdog. That for 10% off. That's freezepipe.com. Use code Fitzdog for 10% off and say goodbye to harsh cannabis smoke. Oh boy, it's time. All right, listen, let's get into it. My guest today is a guy who I consider one of the best rising comics in the country. That's what I do on this podcast. I have on legends. I have on dear friends that I respect, that are peers. And then I have people like J.F. Harris is a guy that opens for me on the road. He's a guy who also headlines, but I convinced him to feature for me sometimes. He has a new comedy special that's out called People Make Mistakes. He was on Bill Burr's Netflix special, The Ringers. He's been on The Late Late Show. He's had other specials before. He's from Brooklyn. Just a really fucking solid guy and really funny. Talked to him last week. Here is J.F. Harris. And here I sit with my dear friend, J.F. Harris, who is, I'm so happy you're on the podcast.
Dude, I'm so happy I'm on the podcast. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you. Where are you podcasting from?
This is my living room / office.
Okay. Which is where?
Here in L.A. I'm in Los Feliz.
Is it Los Feliz or is it Los Feliz?
Probably Los Feliz, because that's how I think they would say it if we were in Mexico.
Right.
But in this neighborhood, it's a pretty white neighborhood now, so I think we just go by Los Feliz.
If you see Latinos in that neighborhood, do people get wary?
No, I mean, this is a pretty mixed neighborhood. I feel like everybody lives here now. This probably hasn't been a Latino neighborhood in, if I had to guess, probably 15, 20 years. Louie Katz grew up here when it wasn't. When he was
really?
When he was like the only white family, and he was like, now he talked about how when he comes back, he was like, it's just weird seeing all these white people around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you grew up in Staten Island. Was it, because Staten Island is like, it's got black areas and it's got white areas, right?
Yeah, and it's got different kinds of white areas. It's got like blue collar, Irish, middle class white, like people
like firemen, a lot of firemen and police.
Firemen, cops, sanitation, EMS.
Yeah.
And then it's got like Jewish white people, or some Jewish people would say we're not white, but by the mall, they all live by the mall. And then further out is the Italian, like Jersey Shore, Guido, and to Staten Island, wife beaters.
Right. But then there's also, like, I have some friends that are Irish but have a lot of money. And isn't there sort of like a McMansion kind of part of Staten Island as well?
I mean, it's all kind of turning into that. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere you go. When I was a kid, the rich part of the island was Toad Hill. Yeah. Which is where my mom was a housekeeper. And it's like the one giant hill on the island that looks down at all the poor people.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where they all kind of live. And there used to be a lot of beautiful houses now there. But then now they just bulldoze them over. And then they put up like 2 or 3 of the most ugliest mini mansions you've ever seen in your life.
And then what about the black area? Because isn't
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang from Staten Island?
Yeah. Which is one of the wild things about that is all the like black neighborhoods are along the water on the north shore of the island. Yeah. So they built projects in all these areas where now, if you were a real estate developer, you would be like, why are you putting projects by like the views of the city?
Right.
Like by the ferry.
Yeah.
And those are the best neighborhoods to live. I used to live in a couple of those neighborhoods when I was like in my early 20s and we could afford dirt cheap apartments, and it was great.
But it was in a black neighborhood.
Yeah, when we were like young stand-ups and comics, we lived over there. Like when I was like 23, 24, and I had a giant 3-bedroom apartment that I lived in, which was really a 4-bedroom, and had like a back porch and massive. And I think we paid like $1,100 for three of us.
Yeah. So when you grew up in Staten Island, because I remember I spent a lot of time in South Boston, which is kind of like Staten Island because it's just, south of the city and it's an island basically. But there were kids that grew up poor there that like hadn't been to Boston. Is it like that with Staten Island?
100%. People don't leave. Like, I'm the odd duck. Like, people generally, like, there's just like almost like a disdain for the city.
Yeah.
Like, people would be like, why do you want to go there?
Right.
And we would go in and skate when we were kids, and people thought that was weird, that like every day after school we get on the bus to the ferry and then go skate in Manhattan all day.
Uh-huh.
And people were like, why would I go to New York? What's so special about New York?
Yeah, it's hilarious. We got everything here.
Yeah,
we got the garbage dump. We got Shoe Hill, or whatever it's called.
20 different types of pizza.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so it has like, it's weird because it's part of New York and most of the people work for the city or work in the city, but they also resent it.
Right.
Because also everyone in the city kind of shits on Staten Island.
Of course. Of course. I just did.
Yeah.
It's, it's the fifth borough, which is so weird because you have places like Yonkers, which has way more people and way more urban, and yet it's not a borough.
Yeah. Which, how many people live in Yonkers, Because Staten Island's just under like 600,000 people, I think.
Is it that many?
Yeah. And it's
no
12 miles.
Shit.
Yeah, it's like the size of like a San Francisco or a Boston.
That is news to me. I'm looking up Yonkers population right now. It's only 200,000.
Okay, yeah. So Staten Island's like 3 Yonkers.
Wow. Okay, I take it back. See that? Yeah. It's 475,000 people in Staten Island.
Staten Island. That means a lot.
There's 581,000 in Wyoming. And they get 2 fucking senators.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. That's fucking insane. Staten Island should just become its own state. Well, no, that wouldn't solve the problem because it is the only red part of New York City.
Yes. Right. It's very red. Do you know a bar called the Black Dog?
Yes. I've seen some fights there.
Yeah. My friends, that's their watering hole. I've spent some time with them at the Black Dog.
Yeah, that's
and then there used to be a comedy club out there that was owned by Grandpa Munster.
Yeah, that was like
Grandpa's, it was called.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, that was still around, and it was.
You sound old now because I performed it.
Well, I mean, it was that was in New Dorp, where my parents are from, like where they grew up. When I was a kid, it was there. And then we moved to the other side of the island. And then there's still a club there. It's called Looney Bin, the Looney Bin. And it's in, like, by the old, where the movie theater was, which was now in LA Fitness. That's, like, kind of in the halfway part between, like, the really Italian South Shore and it's in a neighborhood called Travis, which is kind of like the white trash neighborhood of Staten Island. It's, like, right off the dump. So it's a lot of like people who were like, yeah, we don't mind living by the dump.
Right. Well, I remember doing the gig and it was run by these fucking mafia guys.
Yep.
And their whole thing was, hey, you're going to do 12, you do 13, we'll fucking take you out back. And then at the end of your set, normally you open the show or you feature the show and then you can get out of there and like somehow get to the boat and get back to the city and maybe do another show. And they're like, you're only going to stick around for a curtain call at the end. You had to stand around and do a curtain call. Yeah. Yeah, it was the worst. And they charged you for their bad food.
Ugh.
But I never saw Grandpa Munster there.
That's such a bummer. That would have been a cool dude to meet.
I know.
There's nothing I hate more than when you go to a club and they're like, hey, just so you know, the food's going to be half priced. And you're like, no, it's not. I'm the headliner. It's going to be free.
You're right. I know. I just ate and I was at the Irvine Improv this weekend and we ordered so much fucking food. And the food is really good there because it's connected to the umami burger or the something burger.
Yeah, and you can Gary Cannon it and take home doggy bags for the whole week.
Is that what he So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your special. You got a new special out that I saw that's so fucking good.
Thanks,
and it's such a testament to what working on the road nonstop for years will get you as a comic. You're just like, everything is boiled down. Everything is, tight, funny. It's a great special. It's called People Make Mistakes, and it's been put out by All Things Comedy, which is Bill Burr and Al Madrigal's production company and website and podcast network. It's a whole thing. And how was the experience of working with them and making the special?
It was great. They came on right at the end and were like the saviors of like helping me try to distribute it and like getting the album out and helping me get on the podcasts and helping me just putting up clips and chopping stuff up. And they've just been so much help. We shot it ourselves, me and my buddy Mike, out in Florida during the pandemic, like before the second wave. So it was like all like boots on the ground. We kind of all hands on deck did it ourselves.
And where did you shoot it? It looks like you're in a warehouse or something.
It's this like, it's a film production company in Florida called Coastal Creative, who were like the boots on the ground production company. It's their warehouse. And the dude who owns the company just loves stand up. And he was like, and I did a show there and he just pitched it to me. He was like, it'd be pretty cool if somebody shot a special here. And in my head, I already wanted to have something that had like a loft space and that I didn't want to
keep expecting to see a forklift go by in the background, a couple guys in hard hats.
That would be pretty dope. Yeah, I didn't want to do a club because I felt I wanted it to feel special. But at the same time, I'm not a theater act, so I didn't want to try to get a theater. And so I wanted to find something that felt more honest to where I was. That's like that in between.
Yeah. Right.
And they have this fucking great space. Bobby Kelly just shot his special there like 2 weeks ago.
In the warehouse?
In the same space. They just changed.
No shit. Really?
Yeah, they just changed like the direction in which they shot, and they used the mezzanine to like put a band up there and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you shot it during the pandemic, and so were people wearing masks in the audience?
No, because it was after
because it was Florida and they don't wear masks.
They don't believe in it.
Yeah,
it's against their constitutional rights. They fucking. It was everyone had time to get vaccinated, and it was before the second and third wave.
Okay.
So it was like this weird time where everyone was like, "I think it's over," and everyone was able to come out, and everybody on the crew was vaxxed and all that stuff. So it was like it felt like a real like moment, if that makes sense. It was like, oh, we got to do these jokes before they stop being relevant, and then sadly they kept being relevant.
Yeah, I know. That is the thing about material about COVID is I keep thinking, like, I've got a bunch, and I keep thinking I'm not going to spend a lot of time writing COVID material because it's going to get dated, but it just keeps fucking sticking around. And now Fauci is saying just get used to it because we're always going to have COVID.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's going to be like the flu.
Or AIDS.
Yeah.
Or I should say HIV. It's just become something that people have learned to live with.
Yeah. Similar. There'll be antiviral drugs that you take when you get it and treatments for when you've had it in the past. Also,
did you consider coming out of the closet on this special?
I thought about it because of the fact that me and the 7-year girlfriend had broke up, and I was like, now's the time to be like, also, by the way, I love sucking dick.
I mean, I know you're not gay, but you still could have come out of the closet. Gerard Carmichael just did it, and it's getting him a lot of press.
I mean, it would help. There's not much, just
would you suck a dick to make your special become like an 8 million views, like a Mark Norman type of special? Just suck one dick. You don't have to swallow.
Just suck the dick?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, why the fuck not? It's not like I ever got to do it again. It doesn't like change my whole life. It's just sucking a dick. Like 80% of the people on this planet suck dick, women and gay dudes.
That's true. You've crunched the numbers on this, haven't you?
Yeah. I feel like 30% of dudes are straight, right? or something like that.
70% of dudes are straight. So 30% of dudes have sucked a dick. I would say that sounds about right.
Yeah. Fucking one time so that the rest of my career set up.
I know.
8 million views, real fans. That would be the dream.
Yeah. All right.
I wouldn't suck the one dick at a time for the 8 million. I'll tell you that.
You mean 8 million dicks?
I wouldn't suck 8 million dicks for each one for a view. But
can you imagine being the last guy? That would be the worst. Just there'd be no suction left. There'd be no jaw pressure.
Be all teeth. Just barely can keep the thing open.
Right. It's like, I see you spitting in your hand. Don't cheat.
It's like, can I get a glass of water?
Oh God! Oh my God! There was a porno movie called The Houston 500, and there was a porn star, and her name was Houston, and she had sex with 500 guys, and they just waited. There was a line of guys, and they were all standing there like, jerking off, waiting to be next, and they'd get in and out.
I mean, at that point, was it like a pump each, or were they all finishing?
I can't imagine they all finished. That's impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that's the case, the guy in the back of the line who's jerking off to try to stay hard could finish and jerk off 2 more times before he got there.
Well, if you're Italian, yeah, for sure. I got to reset my clock now. I got a 24-hour clock on mine.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I can still sometimes rock a 2 a day.
Yeah. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, but, I'm 39. I feel like that's coming to an end.
Yep. When you hit 50, you're going to set the 24-hour clock, my friend.
I mean...
Hey, so walk us through, what's going on in your life, because this special deals with it. And what have you learned what did you learn about yourself in the last couple years?
With COVID, since the lockdown, I mean, honestly, one of the things I learned was taking a break isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, I work the road really constantly. I'm just always on the road. And during the pandemic, I took 8 months off. And I don't feel like I really missed much of a step because I had worked the road so hard that it didn't feel like it all went away. I just got back on stage and just did the a day at a time, built out the new, because the first 24 minutes of the special was all written from the time I went through that breakup till when we filmed the special in June. So it was pretty much January to June. I just banged out the first 20, 25, 30 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Which also showed me that if I just show up and write every day, I can actually churn out material really quick if you have stuff going on in your life.
In general, you're one of the hardest writing comedians I've ever, because you open for me on the road sometimes, and every time it's you're always in a coffee shop during the day, and you've actually got your laptop out, and you're actually writing, and you're actually working, and I see your act change. Sometimes I have people open for me, and it's year after year, they're doing the same shit. And it's we can't both be doing the same shit year after year.
Don't act like you don't write, motherfucker. You write a lot. Every time I open for you, you have new shit too.
I try, but it's hard because, when you hit that Friday Night Late Show and they're not biting on anything, you start flipping through that Rolodex of all right, what do I have that's rock solid? And you start doing some old shit.
Yeah, you switch to the tried and true dick jokes.
Yes.
You're they're tired, they're done. I'm gonna have to do this finger in the asshole joke because that'll wake them up. And then from that, I'll just move to talking about the size of my dick, and then
Well, we'll move on to other aspects of my dick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love that though. That's part of the thing I love about stand-up is that I've got all these tools in my belt, and that if I do a corporate show and I have to work clean for an hour, I've got a spreadsheet of just my clean jokes. And if I'm doing a Friday Night Late Show and they're talking and they're getting thrown out and they're not paying attention, then sorry, I got a call coming in. Then I pull out old shit. I do ridiculous hacky stuff, and I love it. I love doing old hacky shit because I know that there's a lot of comics that can't get through this set, that would just tank it, and the audience would fucking be disappointed. And I know that at the end of the night, that crowd had a good time. That's all that matters.
There's no better feeling of getting off stage. Even I love, it's fun to like have a set where you're like, man, I killed. But like it's funner to get off the stage and go, I got him. I was a professional. I did my fucking job.
Right. I'm a technician. I'm a journeyman.
Yeah. I'm an
entertainer.
That, and when you're flying home on a Sunday and you have your a jacket on and you have the check inside of your jacket, you feel like an assassin who just like flew into another city, hit somebody, and then got out and got paid.
Right, especially when you're a comic, because if you're in a band, you're loading up the equipment all night. And then the next day, you're fucking driving in a truck with 5 other people, and
you're splitting $500 5 ways.
Exactly. Yeah. This way, it's all yours, and you got the equipment is the mic that's in the stand when you get there, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then the best is like if you also sell merch, then I've got a fucking big wad of cash sitting in my backpack on top of it. I shouldn't let people know in case they see me in the airport. That bag is heavy.
Just kick him in the dick and grab the bag.
Right. So walk us through the last couple years, the breakup, everything you talk about in the special.
So I was in COVID lockdown. During the lockdown, the ex wanted to move. We moved from like a little apartment to a bigger house. Then we were in that house for a couple of months. We split up. And then we were living together for a minute, which was crazy. And eventually I moved all my shit out and just lived in my office out back. And then Thanksgiving time was like rolling around. So I just fucking got in the car, drove across America to my parents' house in Florida.
With all your shit in the car?
With a bunch of my shit. I put a lot in storage, like my record collection, the majority of my clothes and shit like that. But I just loaded up the car, drove to Florida, and I was supposed to be there for a month. Maybe a little bit less. It was like I was coming for Thanksgiving and then maybe Christmas, drive up to New York for Christmas, and then I was going to move back. And because I had a buddy who bought a house and I was going to move into this apartment that I'm living in now and sublet it. And the construction on the house that he bought just kept getting pushed back. And eventually it was like, all right, I'll move in January. And then January became February. And then at one point I was like, I just had to fucking accept that, like, I don't know when I'm moving into this house. I live in Florida now. And then me and my friend Mike, who directed the special, he was like, you just got to shoot a special. We just got to do it. And I talked to somebody at one of the networks, and they said if we shot it on spec, they'd be into it. So we were like, fuck it, let's do it. And then I was just like, all right, I'm a guy who lives in Florida now. I had nothing else to do, but I worked out twice a day. Got noise canceling headphones so I wouldn't hear my parents yelling at each other, and just fucking sat down every day and just fucking wrote jokes about my breakup and about the pandemic and living with my crazy parents. And
what do they fight about?
They can't hear each other anymore, or my dad can't hear. So it's just them yelling because my dad can't hear, and my mom being like, you don't have to yell. Yeah. They're mostly fighting about how he's yelling.
Right.
And he's such a type A, like, control guy that, like, everything has to be a certain way. Yeah. He can't just relax. And so, yeah.
That's a funny thing about Florida is everybody has this image of you retire, you move down to the tropics, and you sit in a lounge chair and you read the newspaper and you go for walks and you relax. And then you get these people that, like your dad, it's not like Florida's going to change their personality fundamentally. They're still a guy who like feels like he needs to be doing something all the time.
Yeah, my dad was on the the co-op board or whatever the fuck it is, like the board. And he drilled through concrete walls to install like camera systems because somebody kept like stealing people's like flower pots and shit like that. And like him and like the whole team of other retired men just like got a job to do. And they do that every day where they're like, well, maybe we should go look at the roof. And then they would go get estimates on the roof and have a roof fixed. Or
that's great.
They just can't. They're dudes who all work. They're in Fort Myers, Florida, which is called the Irish Riviera. And it's where all the retired blue collar New Yorkers go.
Yeah.
So they're just dudes who work their whole lives as cops, firemen, shit like that.
What was your dad?
He was a fireman.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's got a nice retirement package, right? The firemen, they treat him pretty good?
Yeah, he's got a good pension. If you work for FDNY, you get a pretty good pension.
And then what about your mom? She got a pension too?
No, she was a housekeeper.
Oh.
So she just worked for rich people. And eventually one of the old people that she worked for, Mrs. J, got like very old. And then she became like her caretaker towards the end.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So what did you think of King of Staten Island as somebody whose father is a firefighter in Staten Island?
Yeah, and who knows Pete, really. I've known Pete since he was a little kid. I used to sneak him into, like, I met Pete at the Looney Bin on Staten Island, that, like, mob.
No shit,
yeah,
really?
That, like, mob-run club. I met Pete when he was, like, 15. I want to say he was 15. He might have been
sneaking
younger.
into the comedy club when he was 15?
Doing sets on like the comedy competition. And he used to come do sets on my bar show when he was like 17, 18.
Wow.
Maybe younger, maybe 16. We used to have to like sneak him in. He would do like my show there in New York City at this place called Aces and Eights. And then he would do my show at this place called the Cargo Cafe on Staten Island. Yeah, so I've known him forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that I got to go by the set a couple of times and hang out. Judd invited me to hang on the set and like, because they shot on Staten Island and I was there that summer because they were filming This Week at the Comedy Cellar for Comedy Central. So I flew out for that to be there for 6 weeks. And then just ended up going to the set a bunch.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was great.
Did you consult? Did they ask any questions about your life?
They didn't ask any questions about my life, but it was funny because Bill was there, Burr, who's a buddy, Mike Vecchione, Pete, and then one of the consulting firemen is this dude named Nils who worked with my dad at 114 in Brooklyn. So I like knew pretty much everybody when I got there, which felt pretty great. And I got to pitch a couple jokes and stuff for different scenes, which was fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So when Pete started, was he, because I saw Chappelle start in New York and he was probably about that, he was like 18, 19 years old and he'd come into the Boston Comedy Club and you just look at this, I mean, he looks like he looks young now. You should have seen him when he was 18. He looked like a baby and you're like, oh, this guy's going to suck. And then he gets up there and you're like, all right, I think I'll quit comedy now. He was just such a natural. Did Pete have a natural ability?
I think he was funny from the beginning, and he was interesting to watch. But he wasn't. Back then, I didn't feel like he was like a killer. It wasn't like, oh my god, this guy's the next guy. You were like, this kid's funny.
Yeah.
You're like, he knows how to do stand up, and he's gonna be good at it. But you were never like, here comes the Messiah. You did not. Some people you see and you're like, I remember seeing Che. Michael Che was like a year or two in, and you knew he was on the rocket ship.
Yeah.
You just see somebody get on stage and you're like, oh, people just react to this guy in a way that's insane.
Right. It is crazy, and then sometimes those people don't take comedy as seriously as they could because they get scooped up by the industry and they get put into sitcoms or movies or even become writers, and they don't become like Gerard Carmichael. If he didn't become like, now he's like a big TV producer and actor and he does his specials and they're good, but it's not like Pryor level good, which everybody felt like he was capable of if he was going to go on the road for 30, 40 weeks a year and pound it out.
Yeah.
And that isn't to malign Gerard. I think he's really great. But he had that thing when he was young where you were like, holy shit.
You're like, this is the guy.
Good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's been a slow grind of like just slowly you just get better an inch at a time. And it is funny when you see those people, you're just like, yeah, I've seen that thing too where the industry's like, this guy's the next guy, and then they're hot for like a year or two, and then they drop them, and that person doesn't know what to do with themselves.
Right, and they've lost their place in line as a stand-up because you can't stop. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 32 fucking years, 33 years.
Nice.
And like you said, I stopped during the pandemic for 8 months like everybody else. We all got a timeout. Other than that, I have never not done stand-up for longer than 2 weeks in my life. And that's with, 20 years of writing on TV shows where I still would go on the road on the weekends. I would still go out during the week and do spots. And if you don't do that, you're just out. You're just out, and you got to fight your way back in again.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was writing for, same thing, even when I was writing for like Will Smith and I had that job, like that was like a 9-to-5 office job, I was still on the road every fucking weekend with either you or Joel McHale or Whitney Cummings or myself.
Right. So let's talk about the Will Smith writing job. Did you ever see flashes of anger?
Never.
No.
He was like, I wouldn't say flashes of anger, but like, he's a passionate dude, but I never thought he would get violent.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's just like when you're pretending to be a nice person and be like a spiritual person all the time.
Yeah.
Those are the people I worry the most about.
Exactly. Because like nobody's really like that.
Yeah. Like I'm a fuck up,
Yeah. Right.
I've like, I'm sober a bunch of years. I've like made mistakes in my life. I still fuck up now. And I don't pretend like I have my shit together.
Yeah.
But and anyone who's like, yeah, I'm perfect, I got to figure it out, I'm like, oh, you got a rude awakening coming.
Oh yeah. Those are the ones that snap. And so you were working for him. You were basically helping him with digital media stuff?
Yeah, he launched his like Instagram. He launched Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that at once, and he hired a team of people, and I was like the head writer for a while. And this dude, Lucas Kaiser, who's a really good, he was like a stand-up buddy from New York, hired me on from jump. And it was a great gig. I mean, I got paid like I would if I was in a TV writing room, and I bought a car, and he bought me sneakers for his birthday.
Ah, that's nice.
He's like that kind of dude.
Yeah.
Which is also crazy. So like when he smacked Chris, I got my text messages, my phone lit up like it was fucking New Year's Eve, and everyone was just like, Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's.
Yeah, right.
I was at Flappers, and I got off stage, and they were like, did you see what happened?
Yeah. That was so weird because I watched it, and I didn't get that it was really an incident. I thought it was a bit, and I was like, oh, that kind of fell flat. And it wasn't until he got up and gave his speech when he won that I went, oh, that was real.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I really thought it was a bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think a lot of people did. And then, but online, on like Twitter and shit, the Japanese feed with the actual sound got out.
Yeah, that's right. Because when I saw it, it was blocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Jada is a scary woman.
Did you spend time with her?
I did. She was nice, but also she's like an intimidating figure.
Yeah, right.
So I could see. So she's got him. You could see she's got him shook.
Oh yeah.
But they
absolutely.
I can say this: they raised 2 cool ass kids.
Oh really?
Yeah, or they have 3 kids, but the younger 2, their kid Willow, I think, is like one of the sweetest, nicest, good kids.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, Jaden's cool too. He's just like a weird kid. But like Willow, she's fucking smart, and she's got a great head on her shoulders, man. That kid's... yeah.
Wait, so it's Jada, and the kid's name is Jaden?
Uh-huh, and the Willow, like Will.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Huh. And then they have an older son named Trey, who's like not in the limelight, who's from Will's first marriage.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, because I heard a story about Will when he was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I had a friend who got hired to write on the show, and the reason they hired him is because Will felt that the show lacked grit, that it was too soft, and so he wanted a writer. So my friend is like from South Central, and he grew up like around gangs, and he was a tough guy.
Yeah,
and I guess he was probably in a gang. And anyway, so he was in the hallway one day. And Will was with like his little posse, and he comes walking down the hallway, and he fake cold cocks my friend, and my friend grabbed him and threw him against the wall, and fucking screamed at him, and then they just walked away, and like no repercussions. Will was like, all right, I fucked up.
Wow.
And my friend is now like one of the big writers in Hollywood. I won't say his name.
Fuck yeah, that's a great story. I mean, I understand that dude, why he did that, because he was like, if he didn't do that, Will was gonna think he could shit on him all the time.
Right. I think it was just a reflexive reaction of somebody doing that to him. He didn't think about who it was.
Yeah. It was just there. I mean, it's not prison, it is a writing room, but it is a weird thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been attacked on stage?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I got attacked in Boston by this guy from the Israeli army, and he fucking I cracked him in the forehead with a microphone, and then he was bleeding, and then he got me in a headlock, and he did some Krav Maga shit and flipped me around, and my neck is still fucked up to this day. Like, he really fucked up my neck.
No shit.
Yeah.
When? What? How long ago was it?
I'd only been doing comedy for a few years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Similar. When I was like pretty young in comedy, I was doing some bar show in Brooklyn in like deep Bushwick, back when Bushwick was still kind of hood. And I got on stage, and before I even got a joke out, a dude said, want to hear something funny. And then he threw a full tall boy Takati at me, like football did, hit me right in the chest.
Really?
Yeah. And then I like jumped off stage to like go after him.
And what happened? They broke it up?
They broke it up. And he was the DJ of the bar.
No.
Yeah, and so they were like real apologetic, and then they gave me free booze all night, which they fucked up, because this is back before I was sober. So it was just like, I'm going to make you guys pay for this. And I left around 2 a.m. and really fucking put that bar tab to work.
Did you talk to the guy afterwards? Did you guys make amends?
No, he split. Like, they like kicked him out of there. Yeah. But apparently he was part of like a rap group, and they were all there. He was probably just pissed that they weren't doing their show or something.
Right. I got hit. I was on stage opening for They Might Be Giants at Kent State University in Ohio. And it was a daytime, like, spring festival, and they had kegs all over the place, and kids were shit-faced. And I was up on stage, and I shit on... Some kid was heckling me, so I destroyed him. And people were laughing at the kid. And so one of his friends threw an apple, and it hit me in the chest. And I was only about 5 minutes into my set, and I just immediately went, have a nice day. I already got the check in my pocket. I'll see you assholes later. And I fucking walked off stage. I was like, I'm not staying up here.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's funny, because you wouldn't think They Might Be Giants fans would be assholes. It's all like fucking nerdy 90s.
Exactly.
Like,
I know,
like
and they're the coolest.
Music.
And I was already friends with them, so and they were howling. I got off stage and I was like, "Oh, they're all gonna be really sympathetic," and they're like, asshole, you got hit by an apple.
I kind of miss that period when comics and bands would go out together a little bit, when it was like the right combination. Like, I feel like that was more of a 90s thing, or even early 2000s.
I just got asked to open for a metal band, and part of me is like, this will be so bad, I should do it just for the stories. But then the reality of how bad it really will be is like, I don't think it's a good idea.
Does the metal band's name start with an M and end in Italica?
It does not.
Okay, cool.
Although I think Jim Brewer tried opening for Metallica, and I don't think it went well.
He did for a while. I heard they loved having him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was one show. Maybe it was one particular show.
Yeah, I heard he would do like a crew. They did like a crew talent show thing that he would like host, and dudes like people who are the backup, like the fucking roadies, would come out and sing and shit, and would be incredible.
Really?
Yeah. I know Dean Del Rey also went out with Metallica for a while, because I got asked.
Shit.
Yeah, because somebody had me submit for that, and I was like, I'm not the right guy for this, and then they hired Dean, and I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah, that works. I opened for Grand Funk Railroad at the Westbury Music Fair, which is in New York, and it's theater in the round, and the stage rotates. It makes like one rotation every 5 minutes. And the crowd was there, and it was all like, it's Grand Funk Railroad, and this is in like 1995, and so it's like they hadn't been big for 20 years, and so I get on stage. And these people, they go, ladies and gentlemen, before we bring out Grand Funk Railroad, how about a hand for your opening act? Boo! like immediately they're like, fucking what, opening act. And so I come out and they're booing me, and I have to run down through the crowd to get to the stage because it's theater in the round. And so they're yelling and they're booing, and then I go, you guys have waited 20 years for this. You can wait another 20 minutes. I know you got to get your parents. I know you got to get your parents' station wagon back to Long Island because you live in their basement. And I just start shitting on them, and so they start to quiet down and laugh, and I'm like winning them over, but there's still like little pockets of hecklers, but it's dark and I'm moving. So as I'm trying to respond to a heckler, I'm shifting, so I don't know where they are anymore. I felt like a piñata just spinning around.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've played that room.
Have you?
Yeah, I played it a long time ago, and I can tell you this: the stage is now broken and no longer rotates.
Oh no!
Or maybe the person I was with just didn't sell enough tickets for them to turn the power on.
Yeah, right.
And you're doing that thing where you're like trying to walk around, and they had fumigated the day before, so there were dead bees all over the stage from the rafters above. So it just did a show, and the stage was just full of dead bees.
Yeah, that theater it should be condemned. It's old. It was old in '95.
Yeah,
and it's in the part of Long Island that really gets like that like towny kind of.
Yep. Real Islanders hockey fans.
Yeah, exactly. Guys with their hats on backwards. Your hat can't be on backwards after the age of 19. I'm sorry. And if you're 48 and your hat's on backwards and you've got sunglasses on the top of your head,
I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
That's one step away from a Monster Energy drink tattoo.
Yeah. Exactly. So I want to ask you some questions. I've been doing a thing where I ask my guests some of the same questions just to get their responses. And I would ask you, how would you do in prison?
Bad. Not well at all. I would, yeah. I mean, I already established that I would suck a dick for 8 million views. I would also suck a dick to stay alive in prison.
Yeah, you would be known. That would be your nickname. Hey, Dick Sucker. You got a 330 on in cell block 4H.
I don't know. No, I think I would put up a decent fight. Like, I'm from New York. I got in a lot of fights growing up as a kid, but I also don't want to get shivved.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I would mostly try to just stay in my cell and read, and then do the hour of walking.
Yeah.
And I would never wipe my ass.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think I would try to get HIV before I went in, and then everybody would know I had HIV.
Yeah, but
and
then
I would just take the cocktail.
Yeah. Then probably just the other guys with AIDS would try to be fucking you all the time.
Oh, and then I'd get all different strains of AIDS. It's almost like getting vaccinated. I got AIDS. You can't fuck me. Have you ever borrowed a lot of money from anybody?
Oh, have I ever borrowed a lot of money from anybody? One time when I was really early in comedy, I was in so much credit card debt from just like working the road and doing all that stuff. I had to borrow like $7,000 from my folks to like help me pay down some of that credit card debt.
Did you pay them back?
No.
So you didn't borrow it. You took
That's
it.
true. I took $7,000. That's true.
That's like my housekeeper. She used to be she was like our nanny for our kids, and we know her really well. But once in a while, she'll hit me up for $1,000 as a loan, and that happens every few years over the last 20 years, and we've never had a mention of that money coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, she should just say, "Can I have my bonus now?"
Yeah, exactly. Which she gets. She also gets a Christmas bonus.
Nice. Yeah.
But you know what's really nice is she came here. She's undocumented, and her husband was undocumented, and then he was a drunk, and she kicked him out, and she raised 4 kids on her own.
Fuck.
And one of her sons just finished college.
Fuck yeah.
Which is great. So we just cut him a fat check and put it in a card.
Hell yeah, dude. That's incredible.
Yeah, they're a sweet family. They're really great, and they've been a big part of our lives. We've gone to the girls' quinceañeras and they're really wonderful people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I will say when I am not lower middle class pay-wise comedian, there is the day where it's like I dream about buying my parents that all-expensive paid trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right.
That would be the move.
Yeah. So they can yell at each other on Oahu?
Yeah, on the beach. I can't hear you. The waves are too loud.
They get kicked out of Hawaii. What's the hackiest bit you ever did?
Oh, I mean, the hackiest bit I've ever did. I had this joke about wanting to get a vasectomy. And said how my mom, but I'm nervous because my mom recently got LASIK and they fucked up one of her eyes. And I was like, and I wouldn't want that to happen to me downstairs and I'd be all cockeyed.
Oh.
It's like a year one stand-up joke. Yeah.
I've had a couple of, I have a tagline to one of my jokes right now that's almost as bad as that, and I only drop it in on crowds. It's almost like me giving them the finger. It's such a hacky tagline because I know they're going to laugh at it, and then I'm just going to hate them even more for it. Have you ever not finished a set in stand-up?
No, never. I can't think of a time. Oh, no, even when that dude hit me with the beer, I still got up on stage afterwards and finished.
Yeah, right. I think the only time you can really leave the stage is if you're physically attacked.
Yeah, or if you shit your pants.
Yes. Well, I know a guy, there's a guy named Bobby Seibel. I think he's dead now. And he was out on a first date with this girl, and he brought her to the comedy club. And he was older. He was an older dude. And I was hosting the show, and he finished his set, and then I'm shaking his hand to get off, and I go, "Oh, good luck with your date." And he goes, "I just shit my pants. I'm going out the back door." He fucking left her there.
Oh my God. He probably just took a little bump of coke, and it just opened up that asshole. He's like, "I'm gonna get juiced for this set."
Yeah. Right. Have you ever shit your pants?
No, I've come close a couple of times. In the special, there's like a bit about me coming close.
Oh, right.
And then, but it hasn't happened, which is crazy. It's coming. Because I drink so much coffee.
You do drink a lot of coffee. You're a fucking coffee junkie.
I know. Well, now I mostly do like decaf or half and half kind of espresso kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it turns out that if you drink 4 cups of coffee in a day, that's what's causing anxiety.
I drink 3. Maybe I'll cut down to 2. But I started microdosing mushrooms a week ago.
Oh, nice. How's it going for you?
It's good. I've took it 3 times this week, and each day I take it, I don't feel buzzed, like I don't feel high, but I definitely feel alert. I feel more creative. I feel more engaged. I don't feel as anxious.
Yeah,
so I'm getting way more stuff done, and so I'm gonna do it for a month, and then I'm gonna see if I can wean off some of these antidepressants that I'm on. That's
incredible. When you bought those mushrooms, did they give you that bucket hat to go with them?
You son of a bitch.
It's a great bucket hat.
It looks like a mushroom. Yeah, you're right.
It looks like a little mushroom.
I got them from somebody who knows somebody in Colorado, because, in Colorado, it's decriminalized.
Nice.
And so it's like a jar with a label, and it's like it's capsules of powder. And so it's like, it's the real shit. I don't have to worry about should I just chew a stem today from some guy I met at a comedy club in Jersey? It's like real.
Yeah. A lot of people also do ketamine to get off
yes.
There's you can go now legally and do like a ketamine treatment with like a doctor.
Yes. I know. Who had great luck with that was Duncan Trussell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He had depression. He did it, and he said it really helped him out a lot. And I may do that. I'm going to do it all. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I think Neil Brennan might have did it too.
Neil Brennan had good luck with it. He did it repeatedly. I think he went on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And now he's more of an ayahuasca guy.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, he does regular ayahuasca trips now, which is the other thing you can do. And there's a place you can go to right in Hollywood, and you go for 2 days. It's like $700, and I think you trip twice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that legal?
No.
Okay, yeah, that checks out. Then $700 for a 2-day vacation to the end of the galaxy sounds like a pretty cheap deal.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you probably tip the guy if it goes well.
Yeah, and if it goes bad,
then you trash his place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that must be weird if you're the guy that does it. And I just talked to a woman who did it, and she's like, oh, yeah, this guy has done ayahuasca like 250 times. He does it with you. And then they have like, you go with like 7 people, and then there's another 5 people that are there as like, they help you through the journey, but they're also taking it. But they're experienced at it.
That sounds like for all of those people, you would think they would be charging more money. That just sounds like a group of people who like doing drugs. We're like, hey, how can we get other people to pay for our drugs?
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
I asked Duncan if he would do an ayahuasca trip with me, and he said he would, but he lives in North Carolina. I think he's moving, but wherever he moves, I'm going to go there. I will fly in to trip with Duncan Trussell. I can't think of a better human being.
Yeah, that's probably the guy to go to. I feel like him and like a Pete Holmes both have like that kind of I'm willing to try a little bit of this to figure some shit out energy.
Right. Do you take anything for depression or anxiety?
No, I meditate for 20 minutes a day, usually in the morning. I'm in a 12-step program, and then I try to exercise once or twice a day. And
once or twice a day? Jesus Christ.
Well, nothing like insane. I'm talking like hour-long walk and like a 30-minute bike ride.
Yeah.
Like, if I can do those things on a daily basis, I feel like the king of the world. But right now, I'm fat as shit. It's
hard to take a bike ride in Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. You have to like drive over to the bike path and do it. I also have like a spin class bike that I found at a Goodwill in my house that I duct taped an iPad to, and it's like bootleg Peloton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the Peloton app's like $12.
And you live alone?
Yeah, by myself.
What's that like, living alone?
It's pretty great, you know? It's I like it, though I will say when you get into day 2 or 3 by yourself and you don't really talk to anybody else, it can get a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is like, because my wife went away last week for like 5 days. It's like the meal thing, because like you don't want to cook a whole meal for just you, and then you end up eating frozen food and takeout and shit. Yeah,
or you eat out a lot as a single dude. I feel like I eat out almost every day.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking expensive.
That's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, but when I'm being healthy, what I end up doing is I'll cook one big meal at the beginning of the week, and then that's what I eat throughout the week.
Right.
Meal prep.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's smart. Well, listen, people should check out this special. People Make Mistakes. It's from All Things Comedy, an 800-pound gorilla. You can find it on, where can people find it?
They can find, if they go to my website, jfharris.com, it's up there and they can watch it, or they can just go to YouTube and type in JF Harris, or go to All Things Comedy's YouTube page, which is where it's at.
Also, check out Bill Burr's The Ringers. You're on an episode of that.
Yeah, if you can find it.
If you can find it. And you got some tour dates coming up. You'll be at the Laughing Tap in Milwaukee, August 5th and 6th.
I'm going to be in Copenhagen. That's not on my calendar, but I'm doing that the 13th of June.
No shit.
Yeah,
dude, I love Copenhagen.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a magic place.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm doing the Knock Knock Comedy Club.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then
I'm going to be in like Seattle, Tacoma, and all that. They're just not on my calendar yet.
Okay. Well, go to jfharris.com. He is one of the hardest working comics in the business.
Thanks,
and
Doug.
And a really true fucking solid road comic. And I say that as being the best kind of comic. There's nothing soft. There's no bullshit. It's fucking jokes, hard jokes.
Thanks, buddy. It's hey, I learned a lot of that from fucking opening for you.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, we always have fun. We got to do some more dates together this summer.
I'm down.
All right, sounds good. And then we're gonna have. All right, I'll talk about that later. Okay, thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
All right, God bless.
Take care,
Congrats
man.
on the special.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
Later.